Testing.
There we hear.
You guys can hear it?
I only hear you outside of the mic. I think. Oh, there we go. It's a lot.
Is that it?
There we go.
Is that it?
That was
I'm
the
keeping
button.
this on the thing.
That was the one.
I'm keeping it,
You
man.
need this?
Yeah, I'll get that. Let me mute everything. That was awkward silence for a second, but all good. Cheers, gentlemen, to our vodka water.
Salud.
Salud. It's just water. Adam, Franco, thank you for being back on the podcast today.
Thank you for having us.
The 27th, right?
27th of December.
How was Christmas?
Christmas was great. I typically don't celebrate it, but I spend time with my girlfriend and her family.
Nice.
Being Jewish and raised Jewish, I never celebrated it, but I appreciate how it brings family members together and spending time with kids. I think it's really fun. So I had a nice Christmas for me.
Nice.
For me, same. I mean, I spent part of it with my family and part of it with my chosen family.
Yeah.
So it was very well-rounded. Got to see a lot of high school friends and connect with their parents, and I got to see some of my family, and it was a good time. Yeah, really a successful Christmas.
You guys were here not too long ago. I want to cover some basic questions of Beachside Moto Company, Moto Co. You guys go Co or company?
Club. Yeah,
Club.
Beachside Moto Club.
But on the shirts, it's Co, no?
No.
No? It's always been Club?
Yeah.
Well, that's question number one, a club or Co.
Not a company.
Yeah, because what is it? Bike Shed goes Co, no? Or they do Club?
They're Bike Shed Moto Co.
Moto Co.
Yeah.
Got it. How did Beachside Moto Club come to be, and what inspired the creation? And I know we covered this, but just a quick explanation for this episode.
Yeah, just a basic overview of what BMC is about. Franco and I met at a local motorcycle meetup with VVMC, and then at the Motor Socials, and we came to a realization that there's a need for another way to build community, and for us, putting on these massive group rides for people ranging from 75 to 125 people. It was a good way of supporting local businesses that maybe struggled during COVID. Good way to get people together for social reasons and to make friends. And so we started it, and it sort of blew up. And I think a lot of it is because it's passion-based. It's giving back to the community, and people feed off of that. There's no outside motive outside of building community and making friends and supporting one another.
Right, absolutely. Just growing our network, making friends, and it's just a bunch of people volunteering to put on organized rides and take people to new venues they haven't been to, and it helps with people who are new to LA as well. So it's just a perfect common interest for motorcyclists who want to explore more about what LA has to offer.
And I did have 2 or 3 people reach out to me after the podcast we did. Anybody that's traveling to LA can join this, right?
Oh, 100%. We get a lot of people.
That's what you guys encourage, and that's kind of what I told them, but so they can hear it from you.
Yeah, we've had people who are just here after being here for a week after moving from Europe. We have people from other cities come down, people visiting. It's it should be a part of your vacation. If you're in town, you like bikes,
and there's a ride,
come hang out with us. And we also encourage people who don't ride but appreciate motorcycles to just come hang out with us. Again,
bring the kids, take some pictures, meet some cool, interesting people.
Yeah, the kids love seeing all these bikes. It's another way to socialize and meet people. If you appreciate bikes, you want to meet people, it's a great event too.
Franco, does BMC have a mission statement?
Our mission statement right now, it's not super formalized, but it's really just to organize group rides and bring people together. I don't know if, Adam, you want to add anything to this, but it's just kind of providing a very inclusive and diverse group of individuals of all experience levels to have a safe space to talk about motorcycles and just ask any questions or link up either at a beachside ride or afterwards.
Yeah, I wouldn't say we have a solid word-for-word mission statement, but words that we emphasize are inclusivity and diversity, and building community. Those are sort of our focal points. We know there's other events outside of riding, but there's a lot of events that require a certain motorcycle or a certain car or a certain passion. There's sort of limitations where we sort of our focal point is making it broad. If you like bikes, doesn't matter what kind of bike, how experienced you are, what kind of riding you do, join us, hang out with us. Let's be friends. So again, that's where the diversity and inclusivity sort of comes in.
Franco, I want to hear it from both sides. A success story of a ride and putting together, and I mean this podcast is a success story, but success story from these group rides that you guys have put together, the business, etc.
Gotcha. I'm gonna probably go with the North Moto. So we collaborated with another moto club in Orange County, and we came together, bounced some ideas off each other, and we hosted a massive group ride that had about 140 riders. Oof. Met up in Santa Monica, Love Coffee, and we went over to Sagebrush. That was July of 2022, and everybody had a great time. It was very well managed. A lot of BMC crew members were there to take care of riders, either with blocking, being at the back end, making sure nobody gets lost. North Moto just had an absolute blast hanging out with us. And, it took quite some coordination managing such a large group, but we've had a lot of rides before that, and our experience kind of came in, and everybody was safe, had a blast, and we're in talks about returning the following year, same month, but trying to do a collaboration with more clubs. So I don't know if you want to add any more to that, Adam, but that was probably one of my favorites.
Well, let's talk about a separate one.
Okay.
Another one.
One thing that I think is special to me is in December and November, we tried something that wasn't the main ride, but a side event. In November, Franco took on the lead and coordinated with Carolina at Queers on Gears. And we put on an event for Halloween that was safe for people in the LGBTQ community. And then also in December, one of our lead members, Natasha, and the rest of the women on our team hosted a women's only ride through BMC, which had about 40 women riders come together. It was special to me because we're showing the community we care about them, and I think the community really appreciated that. And it's starting to bring new faces. People are starting to feel safe around our community and come more often. And I think that's sort of the idea. This shouldn't be like a one-time thing. Obviously, if you're here on vacation, you want to check it out. But if we could get people to come consistently every month and put it in their calendar, we feel safe with these people. We love these people. That's sort of the objective.
You love people.
Yeah.
In general, yeah.
Yeah. We love the idea of community, putting on these sort of special events to support women and other focalized groups to come to our main events is sort of the idea. So to see how successful both the Halloween Ride with Queers on Gears was and our women's only event was really exciting for me to see what the future brings.
You guys did a toy run too, right?
No.
Because I saw Christmas lights, or I saw a whole thing. I'm just assuming that.
No, so our friends over at VVMC, they host their annual toy drive, which is really cool. I unfortunately didn't get to go this year. But
sorry,
Franco,
let me turn this way.
Yeah, Franco can touch more on the success that VVMC finds with donating toys and money to children in need. So
yeah, they've been hosting this toy ride for over a decade now. And a couple of BMC crew members and I showed up. They collect toys the night before the toy run, and they just had kind of have a hangout. This past one was at Clutch in Venice. Hundreds of toys, people donating money online. VVMC does a toy run at night with all the funds they collect. And the next morning, a ton of motorcyclists come by to clutch and strap on these toys on their motorcycle, as many as you can fit.
That's so awesome.
And VVMC led a ride through Santa Monica, through Venice, through the canals, ended up at Muscle Beach, parked bikes on the basketball courts, which is the only time of the year you can do that.
Really?
And
that sounds so cool.
I mean, everybody was dressed in their best holiday Christmas sweater or outfit, and all the toys were given away to a local charity in partnership with LAPD, the Pacific Division. And it's just a wonderful time. Everybody just has a huge smile on their face, spreading the holiday spirit. And it's not my first, and I love coming back every year.
That's outstanding, man. That's great to hear. Those kind of rides or those kind of charities or those kind of causes are just beautiful. And it's that time of year, especially with all the craziness and madness. You need to hear more stories like that. And I don't think people hear that. What sets BMC apart from other clubs?
I'd say we try to switch it up. We really do. We ride to different venues, meet up at different spots, and we take care of our groups. As we have large group parades of motorcycles, if they get split apart, we make sure that everybody isn't lost trying to find their way after being at a red light for a few minutes, and the rest of the group kind of goes away. We do our best to communicate within our crew during the rides to make sure everybody knows where they're supposed to go. Safety is our number one priority all the time. And I think including some of the special events we've hosted, like the costume contest on Halloween with Careers on Gears, the women's only ride, all of that has been very, very unique. And we just try to provide a different twist to what you can do with groups for the motorcycle community. But Adam, do you want to add anything to how we're different?
There's a lot of great groups out there. I think one thing we're pretty good at is providing a large, consistent group ride. There's a lot of groups where you're going fast, you're going long distances, but those groups are typically smaller and doesn't necessarily provide the social aspect of it before and after the ride. I would say that's one of our specialties is, we're almost consistently bringing out over 75, 80 motorcyclists. And we have fun before and after the ride. It's not necessarily just about riding.
The ride, yeah.
But, there's many groups that have found success in their niche. And for us, I think it's the social aspect before and after the ride and creating this parade effect that we have because of the size of our rides.
I've seen it. I've witnessed it. I know you guys post a lot about it. But how would you explain the people that see the bikes going by? Because you just said it's almost like a parade style thing. How does the public look at it? Like, are they angry, or are they pulling out their phones and recording it, or are they excited? Like, what explain that?
Oh yeah, it's a lot of what you just said. For the toy ride, it's so fun. Everybody on the streets is just waving hysterically. The kids are waving at Santa because we have people dressed as Santa on the toy ride. But for that, and with all the toys attached to motorcycles, that's a one time a year kind of thing. You don't see that very often. So it's a very inviting kind of sight.
Yeah.
When we don't have a theme going on, actually for the costume contest as well, a lot of people were just having a blast watching all these characters on motorcycles. You can tell people are in costume because you've got like a Sully from Monsters Inc. or a pirate,
nice, yeah.
or Kill Bill, like the yellow suit. It just looks cool. People love it. Sometimes if people are in a rush and it's not a Halloween themed type of ride, it's just a parade of motorcycles, you may get people that are a little impatient and don't want to wait for the parade to pass for them to take their light or make their right turn. But for the most part, I'd say it's a lot of people pull out their phones and record. But
it's almost like pedestrians or people that are not in vehicles are enjoying. They love it, and then people in cars are being typical Los Angeles.
That's I'd say so. If you're on your foot, you're probably not rushing, right? You're not trying to get somewhere. You're walking. You're taking your time. Nobody wants to rush when they're walking.
Yeah.
So they have the time to pull out their phones and take photos, or if they're on a FaceTime call, they point the FaceTime call to show. Yeah. But like you said, if you're in a car, you've got somewhere to be, you might be on a crunch, you got to get going. And sometimes cars get a little too close to us.
Yeah, I think also it comes down to the neighborhood too, right? Like if we're going through a small community where there's not a lot of cars and there's families walking with their kids and stuff, and the kids are waving at us, you know, a lot of our riders, people who come, will start waving back, and it sort of creates this that feeling. But of course, if you're going through a high traffic car area with a lot of lights, I think we're more focused on getting places safely, and people are worried or like focused on getting to work, getting places. But when you go through a little neighborhood and they're just walking with their kids, they appreciate it. So like when we're at Love Coffee Bar, right there on Ocean Park, it's a residential area for the most part. People are walking with their dogs and their kids, and they stop by, and then when we leave, they're waving at us. So I think it also depends on the environment. But you see both sides. You see people who are like covering their ears, like, who are these people? And then you get people who are stoked, and the kids are waving and they're filming and all of that. So
do you guys try to keep the revving of loud motors, like at stop signs and stuff like that? Do you guys try to keep that down? Like, is there any, hey guys, let's, you know, we're in public, we're a group, we represent each other, can we? Yeah,
we, for the most part, our community is pretty respectful. So when they pull up, they're not revving obnoxiously at 8 a.m. in the morning, 9 a.m. in the morning. And we also say, you know, when we're going through neighborhoods, like, you know, no excessive revving. Let's be respectful of the community. So I don't think, you know, maybe one or two times we had someone, you know, being excessive, but for the most part, our community is very.
Have you guys ever asked anybody to, like, hey, sorry, man, this is kind of like, you're embarrassing us? Kick rocks.
I mean, we've had no more than one or two
incidents
where we had to talk to them and say, for future reference, or you know, you're doing this, if you could help us out by not doing this. But we've never had to kick anyone out. We've never had to send someone home.
How do you do? Do you do a reverse psychology? Like, hey, bro, I think something's wrong with your motor. It's being kind of loud. You want me to check it? And they're like, no, I got it. Like,
so yeah, go ahead.
One of the ways we enforce the kind of atmosphere that we want to keep being respectful is in the pre-ride remarks before we take off to our destination. So we'll say, hey, this is not a race. If you're trying to get there as fast as possible, we'll meet you there. We're going to be very mellow. We're going to take a one lane. We're not going to cut people off. We're going to stay in formation all the way there. It's a super chill ride. If you want to get somewhere in a hurry, we'll, again, meet you there. But if you're going to ride it with us, you got to abide by these rules. And for the most part, we haven't had any issues. And that, again, attracts a certain crowd of motorcyclists. So people that are into the social aspect more so than long distance riding. They understand. They just want to be part of the crew and get there at a chill pace. But we don't have like stunt riders doing wheelies or burnouts at the meetup spots. We don't have excessive revving. And so that's kind of the image that we try to keep. It's just super mellow.
No, it's very organized and mellow. How much pre-planning is there for each ride? Like, give me some behind the scenes, because some people just show up and coffee and this is cool, man. Like, I can do this, and it's like, no. How much pre-planning is there? And curiosity, do you guys have a communication system, like a scene as walkie-talkies, something like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. People, we've seen it quite a bit. Say, oh, this is cool, I'm going to start my own.
Yeah.
And I don't think they necessarily understand the logistics that go into it, from planning the perfect route, communicating with the team to see who's available when to do a test ride. And then we do a test ride at the exact time that we would do it to sort of understand the timing of it. Then we got to organize with our destination and see if they could host us. Then we put together footage, showing, hey, this is our destination, meet us here. Then there's promoting the event with our flyers, getting people to share it, word of mouth. So there's a lot of work that goes into each ride to make sure that it's successful for the most part.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It is. And
I'm sure it's more than
there's more. you got to think about parking, right? The venue that you want to host your meetup spot or a starting point has to have enough parking for 100 and something motorcyclists. Their actual venue, because we always try to go somewhere that provides either coffee or lunch. That way people can eat or hydrate. They have to have a big enough venue to just take 50 orders within a 30-minute window, because we just kind of like reach their peak of business in the mornings or at lunch when we arrive to the destination. And so we need to talk to the venues, the management, right? Adam's been really good about creating specialty menus with some of these venues so that we have our logo on the menu. Yeah. And meeting up with the owner or the manager during our practice rides so that we can ask all of our questions, where people are going to park. Do they have a place for us to make announcements if needed? And just kind of iron out all the logistics. So, and in terms of your question on the comm systems, we do. We have Sennas for the most part. Most of our crew has Sennas, which helps a ton with safety. If you can communicate with people all the way in the back,
100%, yeah.
It's a game changer. It makes sure everybody's on the same page on when we're going to turn, where we're going to wait at the light, what's going to happen next, what lane we're going to take to make that left turn. All of that is so critical. And if you can communicate with your people, with the leads, the mids, and the back, it makes a big difference.
Yeah, it's helped a ton with our success moving forward. We implemented it come June, and now we're making it a requirement that, like, if you want to be a part of the team, like, you need to be able to communicate during the rides just to be as safe as possible. So it's and
communication's key.
Yeah, it's been huge. It's been huge for our success moving forward.
It's funny because I've been riding 20 plus years, and I got my first Sienna like 3-4 years ago, and just with a small group, like, I was like, wow, this is like, hey, so-and-so, watch out, man, you're too close to the edge, or you got a car on your ass, or there's a car on our ass, let's just move out of the way, or whatever, your lean angle's a little bad, or, I've been able to catch people like, hey, you're taking this turn, you're on the wrong gear. I can like tell them, you're on the wrong gear. Obviously, that's why you're awkward. And I feel like a stormtrooper or mind reader, because you're just looking at helmets and you're communicating, and it's so awesome.
It's such a luxury.
It's such a luxury. The amount of people that think it's a distraction, like, they have no idea it's not, and it's super necessary. Super. And you guys are using the mesh mode?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, and what is mesh mode, just for people that are listening to this and are not familiar with the Siennas?
Yeah, we before we get on our bikes to line up to take off, everybody turns on their comm system, goes to the same channel that everybody's on, and Senna makes it super easy. Get on the same channel and you just say, Franco here, can you hear me? Get a confirmation from somebody on the other side and you're good to go. The range is pretty good. They have a little antenna that you can pop up to get a little bit more range. As our group disperses and gets further pulled apart, having that extra range really helps.
Yeah, and just to expand a little bit more on the mesh, you basically send as an intercom system that hooks up with your phone to make phone calls, and you can personalize individuals to do conversations. But when you turn on mesh mode, it's just on this open frequency that anybody on mesh that has a Sienna or Senna can communicate with each other. So once you turn that on, like, and then if other riders join and they put on mesh, they can kind of get an idea of what's going on. So it's amazing. And you can play music and take your calls. And
I try not to take calls on it. I remember at first I was like, I really don't want this on my helmet. I sort of ride to get away from my phone and music and everything else. But I always use it when we're doing our rides because it's super beneficial. We have anywhere from 10 to 15 team members orchestrating the event from a ride, so we all need to be on the same page.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's been a huge game changer, and like you said, the mesh mode, it's great because they bounce off a person. So, when you got 80, 90, 100 motorcycles lined up, the guy in front is quite a bit far up in comparison to the guy in the back, but because of the mesh, it bounces off each other, so that we're able to communicate from a far distance.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm done with these questions. It's clear who you guys are and what you guys have accomplished. And again, congratulations on that. On another note, how are you guys doing? How's life? What's going on with the events?
Oof.
What are we looking for 2023? What are the goals? What's happening? You guys excited?
We are jumping out of our seats. It doesn't look like it, but we are.
Yeah.
We
it's
have
gonna be a good one.
so much planned for 2023, and it's been building a lot of momentum, and I can't wait. I can't wait for the event, the Beachside Moto Club Campout. Cinco de Mayo
we
weekend.
didn't talk about it, right? It was
We
top
didn't.
secret.
It was proprietary information, need to know basis only.
So tell me more. Tell me more.
Well, we want to continue to give more to the community, and there's other groups, organizations that put together these week and away campouts, overnight campouts that have found success. And a big part of our community is very much into it. I grew up most of my life spending time in Kernville. My folks bought a home up there when I was very young. I spent every summer up there, almost every other weekend up there until I got older. It's a special place in my heart, and for me, I was like, we could do it here. We could put together a really fun event. There's tons of rides, routes that we could do, ton of fun events. In Kernville Campout by Biltwell, they've had an event up there, so it's very motorcycle-friendly town. But we're trying to put something very unique together, some fun events throughout, and we're adding the whole group ride aspect to it, which I don't think other campouts do. So our main event is going to be a large group ride around Lake Isabella at sunset. We've never had a sunset ride because most of our events are in the morning.
Yeah.
And then after that, we'll come back, do raffle giveaways, and then we'll party it up at the saloon, which we've partnered with to do a fun karaoke night for our community. We got a ton of other events that we have planned, from fun hikes to a ride to the 100 Giants to desert photo shoots on your motorcycle. We're really excited. It's been a ton of work, a ton of hiccups, a ton of things we've learned to adjust for future events like this. But, tickets go on sale January 1st.
And where do they buy them?
They could go to bmccampout.com. It will take you to our
There's
event
a link right here.
Click the link.
Click the link. It'll take you to Eventbrite.
There's not going to be a link yet.
I know.
bmccampout.com. Or you can find it on our Instagram. But the first week we're doing like a pre-sale, so discounted tickets. But what's great is our team having so many different mindsets and opinions and interests. We're providing so many different options for people. If you like to camp, you could camp. If you don't like to camp, you want to stay at a hotel, we have that option.
Fishing. I don't know.
We have other activities outside of motorcycling.
Killing bears.
We are not killing bears, Robert.
We need to control the environment, the predators.
We're not going to harm any animals, but if you want to trailer your bike up and do the activities because you have an older bike or you want to bring a dirt bike up with you, we're going to have so many different things for people to do, both riding and not riding. There's going to be a car show up there, a pet parade. So Franco, if you want to touch more on it, but we're really excited to offer this, and we hope that everyone sort of gives us a chance, since it's our first time, buys in and experiences it with us this May.
This sounds like fun.
It's going to be a blast. I hope to see you there, Robert.
Yeah, I'm there.
We are taking over pretty much the majority of the campground, Ferrandy Campground, right next to the river. And we've got a ton of spots. Each campsite can host 6 tents. And at the Ferrandy Campground, there's a ton of things that you can do there as well. We actually did a recon trip about 2 weekends ago to just iron out logistics, and we talked to the owner of the campground, and she's been very supportive of our vision and what we want to bring. We're going to have turtle races, which, if you don't know what a turtle race is pretty much the first one to get to the finish line loses. So you have to idle your motorcycle without dropping your foot down on the floor as long as possible until somebody brings their foot down or gets to the finish line.
Nice. Yeah, I've seen those.
We're going to have those at the campout. It's going to be a moto campout, so most people will bring all of their gear on their motorcycle and spend 2 nights with us.
So people are bringing their own gear.
Correct.
They're camping, their tents, their sleeping bags, everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But for those who may not want to camp, we do have a hotel option. So we've also talked to some of the hotels in the town, and they are more than happy to host us. And the hotels are walking distance, literally like 2 or 3 minute walk to the campground in case they want to come and hang out and do some of the activities there. So you can trailer your bike, sleep in the hotel, and participate in the rest of the itinerary just like you would if you would camp there. So there's multiple.
What if you have a camper or van? Dun dun dun.
Well, I mean,
I'm sure
we've talked
parking.
about that.
Yeah. Like again, it's a learning process. Like even just from building this Eventbrite, there's so many different things you don't think about. So like for the hotel, at least, like we're partnering with Kernville Inn. So if you call them ahead of time, you'll get a discount if you're with Beachside Moto Club for the event. But that's a great question. And we're constantly putting polls on Instagram to get feedback, any questions that we maybe don't think about. But the main idea is community. So obviously we're going to push for people to either stay at the campsite or the Kernville Inn, just because we're going to spend so much time together. But yeah, that's a great question.
Because there's a lot of people, like just recently I had a friend of mine, he got a camper, a really nice camper, and I was like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm here in Malibu, and there's like a little camping area by Malibu right before like Neptune's Net. I never even knew that place existed there. And it was just, like, why wouldn't he want to bring out his camper and, and join this event,
Well, part of the fun too is like we're all going to ride up together from Malibu.
Of course.
So, we're going to obviously push people to join us. It's a really fun route. We've done it before with a group of friends. It's about 220 miles, but we're going along the ocean. We're going through the mountains of Ojai. We're taking the canyon up along the river. It's a beautiful ride. So obviously we're going to incentivize people to do that. We're also planning on doing a pre-party event. So in order to participate in all these events, you obviously have to get a ticket, but you'll receive a BMC Campout wristband. And so that will sort of be your ticket for the weekend.
What's the pre-party consist of?
So the pre-party
it's like the day before or the day of?
No, we're going to do it probably like two weeks before, location to be determined. But essentially you'll get your BMC Campout t-shirt, your wristband, your raffle tickets. We're going to have a team-led debrief on things to look at on your bike, to prepare for this, how to pack your bike with supplies, answer any questions. Just because I'm sure we're going to get people who have maybe never gone a far distance on their bike, never brought supplies on their bike, maybe haven't done moto camping. So we want to prepare everyone as best as possible and sort of hype up the event.
Are you guys working with anybody, any companies or anybody? Let's say, for example, I don't have a bike that weekend and I need to rent a bike. Is there any rental companies? Or let's say I'm traveling and I want to do this because I'm like, this is so cool. I would love to do that. I'm going to take a trip down there. Do you guys make any recommendations or work with anybody?
I'd say we'd be on a case-by-case basis in the
to reach
support,
out to you kind of thing.
The support we would offer. If somebody doesn't have a bike for the camp out, but they're dying to go, reach out to us on Beachside Moto Club's Instagram, and we'll come up with a solution. Most definitely. But as of now, we're not partnering with any rental companies. But in terms of the pre-party, it'll be a blast. I mean, it'll get everybody's questions answered, and on our Eventbrite now, there's a link to help purchase camping gear that we are suggesting in case you're not an avid camper. A lot of people are. Most, like Adam said, will be their first time moto camping. On our Eventbrite, there's a link with a bunch of information, a lot of supplies that some of our crew members have listed for them as avid campers, and I think that's a great direction to go in.
That sounds very exciting. Something to look forward to. And what else do we got planned for 2023? Because that's just one of many things going on, right?
Yeah, that's our main event, and then obviously
which is
planning.
The most exciting. Yeah, that's
open
gnarly.
to the community.
Yeah,
for sure. We're gonna start planning our second team retreat weekend away for team bonding. We went last year up to Big Sur over Labor Day weekend, and that was a blast. I think our team definitely got closer on a personal level.
You mentioned that on the last podcast, and you guys are it sounds like a great experience, and the fact that you guys are having a team building getaway, but nobody's getting paid, right? Like, this is all passionate people, like
downtime. This is what we love to do.
This is like, hey, we're collaborating, we're working together, we're doing this because we do it, and then you do these trips that build the team even stronger. It's very impressive.
Well, we all love to do it, right? Like, the people we have on the team love giving back, love motorcycles, love the team. Like I said, our team's gotten close just from that trip, but if you think about it, a weekend away up to Big Sur on your motorcycle with your friends doesn't sound like work.
No, I know, but it's still amazing. You know, like, there's still logistics in the sense of those individuals have to explain to their significant other, hey, I gotta, it's work, it's business, or I gotta get away, or like, like it's hard to plan things. Like, people think it's easy, but it's really hard. And companies should do this kind of stuff, and some do, but most don't.
Yeah.
I like the fact. Can we talk about the team? What does the team consist of, and how did they all come along?
So it's been a growing process, right? We're only a year in, and it started with a handful of us, and it's grown to over 20 people. The process continues to develop. We're moving in the direction of people expressing interest, and then depending on our needs, how many people, et cetera, putting a prospective team together. So we put a group, it could be 2 people, 4 people, and they go through a 3-month prospect period where they join the team, they help out with the team on minor things, and they see if it's something they want to be a part of. Very often you'll see someone very excited and want to do it, but then they realize how much work it is, and then it's maybe not their thing, which is fine, right? I think it takes a specific individual to want to spend a ton of hours giving back to the community. So we have this new prospect period, which could change 6 months from now. But right now it's like 3 months where they hang with the team, they watch the team, they learn about what we do. And if they feel fit, like they want to be a part and it's working out with our team, that we bring them on board. But again, it's constantly changing and updating.
Right. And if a new team member comes on board, we've vetted them. They've been around. They get along with us. When they come on board, we have them shadow a more veteran crew member, kind of just as a mentor-mentee relationship, so that they can come up to speed on the roles that we have during group rides, since we want people who understand their role so that way everybody's safe. Usually we'll have new crew members towards the back to just kind of watch how the machine moves and how it works. And over time, they start to get a little bit more and more responsibility within the group ride. We take care of our newest recruits, definitely, and they absolutely love us.
And a part of it, too, is they don't necessarily need to be the best rider off the bat. They don't need this long resume of, I've been riding 15 years, I've done all this. We're okay with getting newer riders who are willing to learn. I think it's hard to find a seasoned rider who's older, who's willing to, help out and help this parade ride. Those riders typically like to almost ride on their own. But if you find a new rider who's passionate about the community, eager to get involved, and we could almost groom them for these events, and then they become better riders. Like, I became a better rider riding with Franco and Jonathan and Forrest and Natasha and Nick and our whole team. A lot of them are better riders than me, and I've gotten better over time. I still ride very slow, but
but over time you've gotten better.
Yeah, a few miles faster.
No, but it's true what you're saying. I mean, I think that kind of applies to everything. Where if you get a veteran that's just a knucklehead or like stubborn or like it should be done like this or it should be done like that, or I did a group ride and ran it for 10 years ago, and it's like, well, first of all, it didn't work out because you're not doing it anymore, and second of all, this is the way we want to do it, and sometimes people don't get that. It's probably easier to mold newer riders than some of the old school riders.
And we also look at what they could bring outside of riding. That's almost more important than the actual riding skill itself. What do they bring? Is it like that energy at the events, or their organization skills, logistic skills, their communication skills? Like, we preach communication. The only way it works is for us to constantly be on the same page. And it's not even like a hard rule that you have to be at every event, right? We have families, we work, things come up. But if you communicate, hey, I can't be here, it's not an issue, because we, at the very least, have 10 to 12 BMC riders who know what to do in the event that people can't make it. So again, there's growing pains. We're constantly learning, but I would say, quote unquote, as a coach would say, off the court, our team gets on very well outside of riding. And I think that's really important too. There's chemistry away from the bike, and I think that makes our team better.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What background did you guys have that you're applying to your business now? And another question on top of that, how are you guys going to start monetizing BMC? Because there has to be a point where this is fun and it's great, but it could always be fun and profitable, right? Or be able to monetize to, because obviously when a business or when a community like this can get money in, they can also give to others and, charities, etc.
So in terms of the monetizing, you bring up a valid point, but this is all of our passion projects, and we haven't really tried to make money off of BMC in any way. At some point we were selling shirts, but that was really just to offset the cost of like buying patches that we had to create for our crew members.
Yeah.
But I don't think we're trying to make this a profitable thing anytime soon. We just love doing it. If you do introduce having to make a profit, that adds stress, and now all of a sudden it feels like a job, and now you don't really want to do it as much. We all have 9-to-5 jobs. We all work different careers, and I'd say we're pretty comfortable in that regard, and having BMC as just a purely passion, interest, love for the art of motorcycling, that's kind of where we want to keep it for now.
So for me, I used to coach basketball for fun, sort of what I do for BMC, giving back to the community and having that impact there. And it grew to the point of now it's my career. All I do is basketball. And I love it. Don't get me wrong. But I do miss the aspect of money not being involved and just giving back and enjoying it because it's passion.
Yeah.
So starting this was, okay, now I could do something to give back to the community, make friends, and be passionate about it, not have that money tied into it. Now, you bring up a good point about giving back to the community, charities. We are working on trying to get sponsorships for our Campout to put back into the Campout to give to the community through raffle prizes and such. We're not making a profit off any of our events. We're not making a profit off the Campout. It's almost at cost, if not losing money, because things come up. But yeah, I think getting into this, I wanted to keep it away from money. And we've had people that constantly come up to us, why don't you monetize this, monetize it? But that sort of takes away the fun from it.
I don't want to create conflict or anything. First of all, there's nothing wrong. Like this, I don't know if you guys know this, but this might be episode 100 for the Ride Boundless podcast.
Oh, yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, because Forrest was 98, and then I had a gentleman 99. So this is going to be episode 100.
There we go. Bring it in.
And I haven't monetized at all. Like everything I'm spending and time and doing this, and I didn't want to because it's a passion project. It's my way of building my community and sitting down and getting closer with people and understanding how their brains work. But first of all, there's nothing wrong with monetizing. Second of all, I understand the purpose of it, but just think about the way that I think about it for you guys is look how much you've accomplished having your 9 to 5 working on your passion project. Now imagine if you were able to focus on this 9 to 5 and expand this into other cities, expand this into something bigger that gives back to the community. It's not for you guys to like, oh yeah, like, no, it's a passion project. Charities, they'll make 10, 20, 30% of the money, but the rest goes to growing, expanding, offering this opportunity to others, building a bigger community, et cetera. So that's kind of how, because you guys are trying to say like, hey, we're not trying to make money off this. The moment you bring in money, money's the devil, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is, how will you grow it? Because you're going to reach a max on your time and your passion because you have that 9 to 5, And again, this is not now. Maybe this is in 5 years. But it's something I think you guys should consider a little bit more.
I think we do. I could almost speak personally on it. Being a basketball coach, I've had to sacrifice a lot for my passion, whether it's money, just trying to get to the point where I want to be. And at times it's been hard. At times I'm like, is this really what I want to do? And of course it is. And I keep pushing forward. There's a lot of hardship, but like, that's what's so pure about BMC, right? It's like, I have these hardships with my passion, with what I do for work. My getaway is BMC, and I don't have to stress about finances. I don't have to stress about, like, if I don't do this, we're not going to make money to do this. I could go to it any time I please. But I definitely understand where you're coming from, that it can help us maintain and grow having that financial support. So that's sort of where, and that's sort of where like trying to get sponsors to come in and sort of back us would help. But for the time being, that's what I love. Or even
like what I started doing for the podcast that I'm going to be focusing a lot in 2023 is a lot of these affiliate programs. Just products that I use. Hey, I love your product. I want to be an affiliate. I want to talk about it. You sell your shit. Give me a percentage of whatever the case is. It's going to go back to the podcast anyways.
Yeah. But that's also added time and effort on top of what we're doing, which is tough, right? We're still so small. And like you said, we're going to reach a certain point where it's like, okay, this is too much. And like, it's trying to get a little bit of money or financial support worth it, just a little bit to push us to that point.
Yeah. And there's certain things like, again, I don't want to like, I'm creating conflict because all our conversations are so smooth. I got to create conflict.
Of course you do. But it's not really conflict.
No, it's not conflict, but it's these team building things. Like, it'd be cool. Next year's team building is paid for. Like food's taken care of, lodging's taken care of. I appreciate what you guys have done, and I'm sure everybody that joins these rides are for that. They're like, fuck, that's awesome. Yeah, you guys deserve it. You guys, I've been to 6 of your rides this year. I've been to 12 of your rides. I met my attorney because of you guys. I met my wife because, whatever the case is, you guys are doing something that people are happy to like, give to, or be a part of, or be an affiliate or be a sponsor. So, anyways, like I said, maybe in 5 years or...
We're still babies. I mean, we're 1 year in.
But you're not.
We're 1 year in. Who knows where we're going to be in 5? We're going to be in a whole other conversation.
But that's like, guys, I've been riding for 20-something years. Like, what you guys have accomplished in 1 year, if we're looking at time, if we're looking at success in time, you're babies. You're a year in. But if you look at success in accomplishments and logistics and team building and organization and pre-planning, you guys are above. I mean,
thank you, Robert.
Most dealerships, most clubs, most anything, because if you talk about other clubs, I think some of the differences are you have to join that club to be part of that ride. You guys are getting a bunch of strangers, and you're organizing strangers to participate in something and follow through. And you guys are doing you guys don't realize how good of a job you are. understand how difficult it is for a dealership. Like, what's a dealership's dream? To bring more people into the door. More people they bring into the door, maybe there's a chance they buy a bike, right? What's a good way of doing that? Why don't we do a ride? You know?
But what's the purpose behind it, right? The reason I think we've been successful is we're pure. There's no motive, right? A dealership, they're trying to build this to bring in money, right? They're trying to build this to build their name.
Yes and no.
But I think it makes it harder.
That's what is the goal in a sense. But a lot of dealerships, I've worked for dealerships, and you know, I worked for a dealership. My first Harley Davidson dealership, because I was in the car business, and when I got into Harley Davidson, I had a passion for it. I fired every salesman. I had no salespeople. My people had no sales license. They were not allowed to talk about numbers. They were not allowed to talk about money or anything. They were customer experience managers. And they were able to talk about motorcycles, what colors they come in, the differences about motorcycles, cool rides, fun places to do. And if the client says, well, how much is the payment? They'd be like, I have no idea. I'm not a salesperson. I can't even talk about it, you know. But I can tell you about the rides, and look, I can tell you what I did this week, and I can tell you that weekend, and it's just that experience. So as a dealership, I was really trying to create an experience, you know, so then they would focus on what they wanted and not focus on numbers or this, that.
Well, I think that makes you unique, though. Like, if you think about, I know there's rides out there that are backed by a company, a brand, and they're trying to grow their name, their brand, make money. And I think they maybe struggle because people naturally feel the motive.
The pressure and the motive,
pressure. Okay, they look at it, they're doing this to get money. Right? People see this, they're doing this out of the kindness of their heart and wanting to make friends, right? And there's something so pure about that. And for me, like, I keep going back to the coaching. There's something so pure about just like spending hours and hours giving back to the community, working with these kids and the relationships I've built from giving back. They're amazing. So I think people can naturally see that we're putting in all this time for the community, and they feel it. Versus if we were a company and there's money involved, and then we start feeling forced to start doing events because we need to make money off of it, it changes how we orchestrate. And I think people feel that.
I understand this. Franco, I want you to answer. Well, I want you both to answer, but I want to start with Franco. Is this what you guys are talking about, and I'm going to say defending? Is it sustainable?
What we're doing, it is, because we do it in our downtime, don't have that pressure. It's not pulling our time from a 9 to 5. And I can see this doing for the rest of our lives because we just love group rides and bringing people together. I mean, obviously, the longer we do the same thing, the more we'll grow. And I don't know. I mean, it may be that a company wants to buy our logo or buy our brand or buy us out. I don't know. I don't know what the future holds. But
what you're talking about, selling the company, and
I'm just saying, like, I mean, it could happen if the word gets out. We are in Los Angeles, and the motorcycle community is super tight. But if we keep going at this pace, it gets easier, right? The first month or two was very stressful for us. We're trying to figure out what we're going to do, how we book venues, how do we get our crew members trained to do group rides. It's become easier as we go on. Now we have a practice ride coming up. We don't need to spend tens of hours a week to organize it. We know what we're going to get into. We know what questions we're going to ask the venue. It almost becomes muscle memory for us, and it does get easier. And in that sense, we could keep it going for a lot longer.
Yeah, I think if we don't force the issue, like if it came naturally that a motorcycle brand said, I love what you're doing, I want to back you guys, we'd be open to that. I think going out of our way to monetize it is where the shift of culture, the shift of attitude changes, and I think it would hurt us. I try to incorporate, back to your question about have we incorporated what we do in our work lives into this? I have, for sure.
Yeah, what are, I was going to bring that up again. What skills and what have you brought into this?
Yeah, I think
a lot of from the coaching.
From coaching, and obviously it's different because you're working with adults, but managing a team making it a focus to be good communicators, scheduling games and events. Like I've had to transfer a lot of that into this. I talk about, with Franco, I always say, this is how I deal with it with kids, and I have to adjust with adults, but managing personalities, managing conflicts, being able to communicate to certain people differently. Like with a kid, right? You could have one kid who reacts well to being screamed at, cursed at, yelled at, and he excels. And you could have another kid where if you talk like that, they'll shut down.
Yeah.
And so learning to read people and how to communicate with people has been very important. We've had times where we've had members say, I don't know if I could do this. It's too much. I'm stressed. And learning how to communicate with them and show that we have their back, they buy in. So it's been sort of cool to see how it translates over from working with kids and a team to then managing 20, 25 adults from all different backgrounds to buy into this passion project that we're working on. So yeah, I would say on my end for work, I've been able to push it into
adapt
BMC. Yeah, and adapt and learn, and it's sort of been cool to watch.
Robert, you're getting a lot of the nitty gritty of my background here.
I want it all, man. It's not me. We want it all. Like
the people,
people.
Give the people what they want.
That's right.
Where does Franco come from?
Take it off.
Yeah, we want to know about Franco. Give us more.
Who is Franco?
So I, in terms of my work 9 to 5, there's very little that transfers over into this.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm an engineer at an aerospace company. A lot of what I do is technical problems, technical work, working on 3D software. We design and build satellites. And really the only takeaway would be teamwork. But I've been an engineer for 7 years now.
Only?
I've also been a part-time professor as an adjunct faculty member at a community college. And I taught engineering classes there. And these classes are hard. I mean, you need physics and calculus as prerequisites to take these classes.
Wow.
So the students in these classes are already know what they want to do with their life. They want to become a chemical engineer.
Yeah.
They want to be doctors, and any kind of engineer. And so through teaching, to echo what Adam was saying, learning how to communicate with people of different worldviews, coming from different backgrounds, and almost just being a mentor to them. I feel like I've put on that hat a bit with Beachside Moto Club. When we have a new rider join us and they tell us it's their first group ride ever, I talk them through all the basics in a language that is easy to understand, because I know, having gone through school, I've got my bachelor's and master's in engineering, and I'm teaching these students who are just starting. I know what they're going to get through. In terms of the motorcycle community, I've been in it for a long time. I know what they're going to get into, and I can explain all the kind of the basics. So learning how to communicate with others has been something that I've transferred over from previous jobs to the motorcycle community within Beachside. And I'd say that's probably my biggest takeaway in the way I transfer over some of these skills.
Well, I think, working with you for the last year or so, knowing what you do for a living, I think there's a lot more than what you think. I mean, just from the perspective of troubleshooting and having a backup plan A, B, and C, you're really good at that. You bring up questions that I don't think of, the smallest thing that's very important. And obviously as an engineer, that's what you have to do. You're working with machinery and stuff that if you don't check A, B, C, D all the way to Z and ZA, ZB, ZC, it's there's going to be conflicts and issues. Yeah. And Franco's really good about, taking a second,
precautions, and
reading through everything. What about this? We need to incorporate this.
Yeah, I know.
He's really good at that.
He's I don't bring any of that in. But
I guess
he brings the technical aspects of being an engineer, and then he brings the teaching aspects of explaining and breaking it down.
And he's an amazing communicator, public speaking. I mean,
obviously this guy, huh? I don't use any of it.
Yeah,
it's all fresh. It's just passion, No, man. You use your teaching skills and you use your engineering. In your engineering, yeah, you're not building something, but talking to people like is so important. Like if you have to break things down, if you just say, if you just give the instructions of a satellite and say, the basics, A, Z, 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 some people, it just goes in one ear and goes out the other. But if it's an experience and you describe it and explain it, and why does A go to B and B, then it's different. I have my 4-year-old. I have to dumb down my language and explain why. And now he's in that why, and you have to answer those questions so they understand, because otherwise they're overwhelmed and confused.
This is why Adam and I make such a good team, right? We play off each other's strengths. Some of those things he mentioned I didn't really think about. But yeah, you're right. At work, it's really stressful. The satellite has to work 100% of the time. It gets tested forever, years, to make sure everything is flawless before it gets launched into orbit. And going through all that rigor, it teaches me to pay attention to the details. What are things we could have missed? What can happen wrong? Let's plan for that. And Adam points it out really well, and I think he's able to notice that more than me as the one that is actually actively doing it. I think it's something that you get feedback on.
Did you have anything to do with the James Webb Telescope?
No, I did see it before it got launched, but
impressive, huh?
It's cool. Yeah, that's the great thing about Los Angeles. 2 things: there's a lot of motorcycles, big community, and aerospace. A lot of aerospace in LA, and that was a competitor company, actually.
Not the competitor company.
Yeah,
but very impressive. The amount of work they put into launching a satellite bigger than the spacecraft that opened up is mind-boggling.
It's wild.
Mind-boggling. It's the first one, right? Since not the first one, but it's the biggest one in the first. It's a million miles away.
It's breaking a lot of records, is what it's doing.
Because the what is it? The Hubble
is the one that replaced.
Was launched in like the 60s or 70s, and it's only had like a chip update.
Yeah.
That, and it was like old. It's like a old Windows computer floating up there, and it did great.
Mm-hmm.
It did great.
The satellite industry right now is exploding.
Yeah.
We don't need to get too much into depth into it, but
it's interesting. People like it. It's
crazy. Our company is building so many satellites. Everybody wants them. So many startup satellite companies.
Well, tell me if this statement. Tell me what you think of this statement. Elon Musk launching SpaceX. So before, SpaceX, NASA, there was a handful of companies building parts for NASA. And those companies got to charge whatever they wanted. And obviously they charged a lot of money because there's not much competition. And by Elon Musk starting SpaceX and other companies starting SpaceX, they kind of made this launching satellites and getting out of orbit more affordable and more competitive. And now you have, Virgin Galactic. Now you have Jeff Bezos,
Blue Origin.
Blue Origin.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's more competition. It's becoming more affordable. And now I guess hearing from your mouth, people want to have a satellite startup company.
A lot. They're in South Bay, Los Angeles. It's the mecca of aerospace. That's where it all started.
And satellites in what sense? Like for cellular service, Wi-Fi service, communications, or war? Dun, dun, dun,
faster download speeds on your airplane when you're crossing the country and you want to download a movie, you want to text your friends, faster speeds. Monitoring the planet. Our planet is in dire need of help as we're excavating its resources and it's killing it. We need to make sure that we watch it to see how it's doing. So there are satellites that are watching the ice caps that can predict where storms are going. Just the overall health of Earth science. There's that, and then there's like military applications.
Now, what about, because I've also heard a statement, there is so much junk floating over our atmosphere that it's insane. And one of my classmates from Pepperdine, he wanted to start a satellite company. He was from Dubai. I don't know if he ended up doing it, but he mentioned the junk, and he was talking about like creating something to collect that junk. But I guess it's impossible. That's it's a lot of junk, right?
Satellites have a 10-year lifespan, about 10 or so. They die. And at the point of
But what caused them to die?
they run out of resources, onboard resources. Obviously, they have deployable solar panels that keep them running, but at some point they die, and they just become hunks of metal orbiting the planet. And now there's a satellite graveyard. It's that bad.
Just floating around.
It's just floating junk.
And it's not just satellites. It's parts off spaceships.
It gets stuck in an orbit where it can't enter the atmosphere and burn as it comes to Earth, and it can't float away because it's being pulled by Earth's gravitational pull. So it just floats around the atmosphere. And if there's a way for you to clean that up, money will not be an issue for the rest of your life and for your kids.
Yeah.
But the launch to space, the journey is way too expensive just to clean all that stuff up. So they just stay there. Nobody's going to pay to clean it up. And to add tech to satellites so that they can maybe change their trajectory just before death and float on into the universe adds more cost. And that's not what companies want to add to their already insane budget. Yeah. It's expensive, really expensive to build one, to launch it. Do you really want to add another $250,000 just to make it go away for the sake of having less pollution in space? No. Yeah. So they just stick there, and it sucks, but it's just the way it is.
What do you think is more impossible or more difficult, converting the ocean water into clean drinking water or getting that dust? Dun, dun. Let me close the door real quick. I'm listening.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be
satellite?
Turning all the ocean water
and all the ocean.
Some of it
turning ocean water into drinking water.
All of the ocean water into drinking water?
No, not all of it, but instead of making it another source of for example, we get our water from springs and
that's
filtration, all that stuff. I've seen them try to make boats or ships that suck up water. Mm-hmm. And they try to filter it and get the salt and everything else, but it costs so much that it just doesn't make sense.
That will be cheaper than trying to clean up our atmosphere.
That wasn't my question. What's more realistic? Cleaning up our atmosphere or converting
ocean water is more realistic because the problem is here. What's up, Adam?
It's more beneficial, I think, to the people. I think it has a direct effect.
Next time Adam comes, I'm gonna get a microphone that just so no matter what.
Adam's got a good point. He's talking about finding solutions on Earth, and there's a big gap between where do we spend our money? Do we spend it on providing solutions to problems we have on Earth, or figuring out what's going on in space? Right? There's not a lot of fans of pouring all this money into space exploration. So,
but it's
so
more
important. Real. It is. It is for
the things
future generations.
The things that come out of
Not
it,
for
too.
now, yeah. The new tech that we develop, like the electric drill, started because of the shuttle.
Drill, yeah.
So that's the benefit of advancing tech and science.
Yeah.
Is you get a lot in return. But figuring out solutions like turning ocean water into drinking water will happen first, for sure, before you sweep up the atmosphere or sweep up our low Earth orbit.
What if we, instead of trying to clean it up, and this will be the last of the satellite topic.
I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. What if you see people like this? What if instead of trying to clean this up and bring it back and destroy it, what if you were able to
deflect it,
grab it, and deflect it? So they thought of this.
Here's the thing, Robert. They're just hunks of metal floating, so you'd have to be able to know where it's coming. You'd have to get there, first of all. That's the most expensive.
They're tracking it too, right?
I wouldn't be surprised if they track the debris because you have to watch out for that when you're launching. You don't want to hit anything.
Yeah, I think there's a website that you can access in there.
So in terms of deflecting it, it's easier said than done.
Yeah,
I will say.
But I think it'd be easier than bringing it back and destroying it, right?
Probably, yeah. If you can shoot Nerf balls at it and change its trajectory, yeah, that would be.
Or ship like a bulldozer with a deflect. I'm kidding. Adam, random question. This is almost a random question. Why do they call space?
I guess there's so much emptiness out there.
There's so much of it.
Yeah, there's so much of it.
Yeah.
Get a lot of space.
Oh, there's a lot of space in space. Okay. So we finally
Did I
got.
pass?
Yeah, you passed. I was just
You did great, Adam.
Did a great job, man. Yeah.
Yeah, space is wild. It's insane.
Would you want to go to space?
So,
Hell no for me.
yeah, Adam's a no.
I wouldn't.
I wouldn't want to leave Beachside. That would mean I'd have to leave Beachside. You mean a one-way trip to Mars?
What about space side? What about space side?
I think we'd have to focus on starting another chapter before we go to space side.
Yeah.
But yeah, astronomy is what got me into science and engineering, space exploration. That's what got me into it. I knew I wasn't going to be an astronaut. That's just too hard. I've got friends who are in the running to be an astronaut, and every decision they make every day of their lives is to become an astronaut, and it's just consuming. For me, I'd rather
just a
just
handful of people that get to do it.
Oh my God, very small. You got to be the cream of the crop. I mean, you got to be groomed since you're a kid to be an astronaut. I mean, it's possible, but for me, I'd rather be in the space industry.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's
I'm doing my part there.
It's huge, man. It's huge. I've been watching it. I grew up. My mom was always fascinated by astronomy, UFOs, aliens, technology, and she would always tell me stuff. And I was like, man, I've always found it fascinating. That's my little.
There you go.
Yeah, so you would be surprised, like from what we all do in our different work life, how we incorporate it into BMC. I mean, that's almost a part of the prospect search.
Right.
Like Forrest, we brought in early on. We were like, would benefit us to have an attorney on the team. And when we have to type up disclosure agreements for the Campout and, other stuff, like we have Forrest, and we have a ton of team members from graphic designers to event planners that incorporate what they do in work to BMC. And I think that's, tying it all back. Like, Franco doesn't realize everything he's done in his work environment. He brings in on small levels to BMC in different ways. Like BMC, we're trying to be a well-oiled machine, constantly looking for improvements. And that's something that he specializes at work and brings it to BMC. And I think everyone on the team does that in a certain way.
Yeah, of course.
And to add to Adam, where he was saying photographers, right? People that understand content creation, because a lot of what we do is promote on social, right? So we need to have people that know how to film, how to take beautiful shots, understand
drone shots,
which a lot of it Adam does himself, right? Like he is an art director, but having experienced photographers who are in the creative industry, it helps. It helps a lot. So all those team members bring something.
No, it's a beautiful machine you guys have created. Do you guys have any nicknames? Does everybody call you Coach or anything like that?
Me?
Did I just start that? Hey, Coach.
I think some of the team members joke around and call me Coach, like on our chat and stuff. At BMC, they call me Adam, which is funny because at work, they call me Plax, which is my last name.
Yeah.
Working at a Jewish school, there's typically a lot of Adams. So, and I'm not someone to be like, call me Coach Adam. You call me Plax, it's sort of not so strict, I guess. It's a lot more laid back, and you have that relationship. But no, I don't think we just go by our names on the team, for sure.
A random question on your expertise of being Jewish and basketball. Adam Sandler's movie on Netflix.
Oh, I loved it. I joke about it at I work at an Orthodox Jewish school, and I'll bring up like, send me to Israel, and I'll bring back a kid, our Bo Cruz, the character from it. I love Adam Sandler, but I really like that movie, and to see him on a serious side.
Yeah. It was that one, and then there was that other one that was kind of serious, the jewelry.
Yeah, that one with Kevin Garnett, he was in it. That one was good, but I preferred the other one on Netflix. I'm blanking on the name. Yeah. Where he's like the scout for the Sixers.
Yeah. I can't remember the name, but yeah.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
Nice.
It's funny though when I talk to people at BMC and they ask like what I do for a living, and I tell them I'm a basketball coach. They're like, "What?
That doesn't even make sense."
And then you do motorcycle riding and you organize this. But before it, I was very much into marketing and event planning. It's sort of what I wanted to do. So I've taken what I've learned from that and also incorporated into BMC.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Absolutely. A lot of fun things coming.
Yeah, it's going to be a big year. I'm very excited. I was just telling Franco when you were in the restroom that this is the first year, 2023. I'm really looking forward to. It's the first year that I'm kind of like planning out the whole year, you know, on what I want to talk about, what I want to discuss, what I want to implement into the podcast. You know,
tell us about it.
Yeah,
we want to hear. Well, what is Ride Boundless plan for 2023?
There's a bunch of things that I gotta handle for Ride Boundless on marketing, business strategy, monetizing, collaborations, affiliations, celebrities, hosting, etc. So I kind of broke this down into 12 different topics, and each month I'm going to focus on that topic. You know, starting the brand and growing the brand and tips and do the research, kind of, you know, learn it and then share it on my personal account and apply it on the Ride Boundless account. And it's just, the goal is that within the 12 months, I will learn all the skills necessary to make Ride Boundless into the next big thing, you know. And my main goal is to monetize it and grow it and have a staff big enough and a bigger location to get the message out there. You know, now I launched the blogs. So now when you go to the rideboundless.net website, you have the videos of the podcast, you have the audio of the podcast. Now there will be a blog written of each podcast of the guests that were on here, but like separately. So that's like, oh, because some people just want to read a blog, right? But then if they like it, they'll go to the video. And if they like the video, they'll go to the Instagram. So then there's a whole social media aspect. So it's just, I'm getting all these ideas and just tightening it up, putting it into 12 topics, dedicated each month, and focus on that topic and only that topic. So I'm not overwhelming myself. And then the master plan is after a year, I'll have all this knowledge and I'll be implementing it to Ride Boundless and see what it turns into. That's it.
Great plan for the full year.
For the full year.
I can't wait to talk to you in 2024 to see what you've learned.
My brain's going to be like I don't know, nothing physically, but it's very, and like you mentioned, it's kind of just going to hold me accountable. It's going to remind me of what I got to do. It's going to give me direction. It's going to give me commitment, because sometimes, you know, I go back and forth with the podcast. You know, I'm like Ride Boundless or Live Boundless or Ride Boundless. Motorcycles only, no, not motorcycles only, expand it more, but a niche is good to have. But, you know, like I question myself, and it creates a lot of downtime where when I have a goal and a focus, I'm like, oh dude, like the amount of stuff, when I get down to what I'm going to work on, what I do in 2-3 hours is insane. I work for myself, and when you work for yourself, when you don't have a schedule, you'll lose time. You'll be like, I got to do this, but you know what? Let me see. And then 4 hours go by. A day goes by. You're like, I didn't do shit. And then when you're hyper focused and you have something holding you accountable, the amount of like I asked you guys the last time when I launched the website to book on the website. You know, that's when I just launched the website. When you get a chance, go to rideboundless.net, start looking at the blogs. Start looking at the member area. Start looking at the shop. Start looking at the homepage. Just go through the website. There's so much information now that it's insane. I started going back and I started doing blogs. Actually, I did your guys' blog from the other episode that's going to be published, I think, next week. I have 4 weeks of blogs published already. Wow. You know, that are just going to be coming out. I've changed all descriptions. Like it's things have changed.
You're putting in the work, Robert.
Yeah. Well, especially you know, the feedback that I'm getting. Like yesterday, I got a call from my good friend David Nixon, and you know, like these were the high school years. All right, and we talk to each other every few years. He just hit me up yesterday, and he's like, dude, I moved to Oklahoma. Long story short, I'm driving from Oklahoma to Los Angeles to visit my son, and I was listening to Joe Rogan, and you can only listen to so much Joe Rogan. So I started looking for other podcasts, and I stumbled upon your podcast. And I was like, really? Like, he's like, dude, it just popped up. And I was like, no way, this is Cubano, fucking Cubano. His name's David Nixon. He was, back in the days, they would just call me Cubano. He's like, Cubano. So he started from the first episode that I had published on there, and he listened to like 2 or 3, and then he jumped to the last one with Forrest. And he calls me up, and he's like, he hits me up on Facebook last night as I was like, organizing my plan. And he's like, dude, send me your number. I got to talk to you. And he just calls me up. He goes, dude, I stumbled upon your podcast. I thought it was so cool. From your first ones to the last one with the attorney guy, Forrest, he's like, dude, like day and night difference. I'm so excited for you. I'm so pumped. I'm like, dude, this is what it's about, Yeah. This is exactly what it's about. For me, it's about having these conversations. For me, it's about growing. For me, it's about promoting, people like you guys, teaching, learning. Like that's what this whole podcast is about. And now, episode 100, I'm now excited what episode 150 is going to be, and 200.
Yeah.
Now I got my hit list of who I got to get on the podcast.
There we go.
Yeah.
Who, if you could have one person tomorrow show up and be on your
Keanu Reeves.
Really?
Ooh.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
That's an easy one, right? Motorcycles.
Yeah.
Super
Arch
easy.
Motor, a gentleman, great actor, great movies, great person, great personality. I was just watching a quick slideshow of girls taking pictures with Keanu Reeves, and he always has his hands open. Like if you look, like he'll put his arm around the girl and his hands like, he won't even like hug him. Like this guy's, I don't know, Keanu Reeves is amazing. Tom Cruise is another one. Tom Cruise, like
both ride motorcycles.
Yeah,
Common interest, right?
yeah,
Right
they
there.
both ride motorcycles. They fly planes. I've flown a plane.
There you go.
I did like 11 hours of flying planes. I was dating
Jay
a girl.
Leno would be fun.
He's on the hit list. He's on the hit list.
It would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, talk about, and then I want to do more kind of car things too. I have a lot of friends with really nice cars, and I'm like, why not fucking cover more car stuff? It is Ride Boundless. I don't want. It's weird. I talk about this a lot. I don't want to limit myself just to motorcycles. Because there's satellites. There's basketball. There's cars. There's attorneys. There's a lot of things.
Well, it could be a conversation starter, right? Like if they ride, but then you focus in on what they do for a living.
Yeah. And that's what it always is.
Yeah.
It's just people that listen to the podcast or want to listen see Ride Boundless, and they automatically assume motorcycles. So if they're not a biker, somebody says, I committed to keep the name Ride Boundless. But somebody says, look, if you keep the name Ride Boundless, you're preventing people that don't ride motorcycles to not jump on the podcast.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Because, you could almost change it to life is a wild ride.
Yeah, no,
right?
life's a ride.
And it could have the emphasis of motorcycles, but if you have it where it's like life is a crazy ride and you're meeting people of all different dimensions, doctors,
surgeons, engineers,
so
coaches.
I like the idea of Ride Boundless, and you can make it a twist that it's just a conversation starter, but life's a ride, right?
Yeah.
Like so many ups and downs. Like you'll probably have someone on here who started out as a, something in logistics and sitting at a desk, and then they follow their passion, and now they're a doctor. Now they're running something that's their own. So, I would hate to see you change Ride Boundless because that's where it started.
Yeah.
But to sort of change the direction of the purpose behind it, not being, it has to be motorcycle focused, but it ties you together, and life's a crazy ride. Like if you roll off that and you're telling all these crazy stories of different people you have on the podcast, I think that's super cool.
No, and it's worked out. And another good friend of mine, Perry Lee, he told me, he goes, I like the motorcycle topic because it's like I don't know if you guys heard of Joe Rogan, but it's like, how Joe Rogan talks about his jiu-jitsu. He loves his jiu-jitsu. Well, your jiu-jitsu is motorcycles. I was like, yeah, it kind of does make sense because I just have a passion for motorcycles. I'm not an expert or anything, but I have a lot of experience and I like them. And that's what I talk about. And that makes sense. You know, that Joe Rogan guy always talks jiu-jitsu and fighting, blah, blah, blah. And it shows his kick. Fucking guy. Fucking guy.
Eating elk.
Eating elk, yeah. DMT. That guy's a druggie, dude. Fucking pothead. I'm kidding. But, yeah, I don't know. You guys want to cover anything else?
When's episode 3 for us?
Guys, you guys are more than welcome on the Ride Boundless podcast anytime.
What month is motorcycles in your trajectory?
Motorcycles is my jiu-jitsu, so it's
it covers all 12 months.
All 12 months. Okay, to be fair, I only want to talk about motorcycles during riding seasons in California. That's every month.
13 months a year.
Yeah, 13
Good
months
job.
a year.
But not to bash on any other states.
Yeah, well, you know.
I think for me, what would be awesome, I mean, you've had Franco and I on here twice and Forrest, but I would love to see all of our BMC team members on here at some point and share their story, their perspective of BMC, and also what they do for life. I mean, we have graphic designers, fitness instructors, all different, all different areas of life. And
walks of life.
To the BMC team.
BMC.
I'd love to see you on here, tell your story about your experience getting into motorcycles, BMC, but just about you and how you see life. I think would be really special for me.
Yeah, send me recommendations, and let's get it worked out. I guess you guys we have Forrest on here because of that.
Yeah.
So that's part of the community. Let's do it.
Yeah,
let's do
absolutely.
it. That's kind of another thing. Like the goal, I kind of was doing one episode a week. I think my average is like one every 6 days. So yeah, once a week. I want to start doing like 2 episodes a week,
But you love doing this, so it's going to be easy for you.
Yeah. 100%.
You're going to get to 200 real fast.
Oh, so fast.
Yeah.
So fast. Yeah. Guys, thank you for being here again. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. I'm looking forward to the Campout. And I'm looking forward to your guys' success. And I'm wishing you the best. And I hope your goals are even higher by the end of the 31st of this year, this month.
Thank you, Robert. And likewise, it's been a lot of fun being on here, but just learning more about you and your podcast and the people you bring on. Before this, I did not listen to podcasts, I'll be honest with you. But, you've opened a new door for me when I'm driving. Instead of listening to the same songs over and over again or to my directions, I get to hear you share other people's stories, and that's been pretty special. So kudos to you for, the work you're putting in and following your passion and trying to share people's stories through this. I think it's super unique and fun, and I appreciate it. So thank you.
Not a problem. Thank you for the feedback.
I can't wait to see you Cinco de Mayo weekend for the BMC Campout.
Ya tú sabes. Ya tú sabes. Libertad.
Tickets go on sale January 1st, 2023. Make sure you go to bmccampout.com and click the Eventbrite and fill it out, and we'll see you there.
Awesome, guys. Thank you so much. Till next time.
Till next time.